am going nuts here. I know I've got this story. It's the problem when a radio show is 300 pieces of paper every day. I know I've got the shooter in Aurora, Colorado. $26,000 federal grant. The guy was given like $2,000 a month from the federal government. The gun club wouldn't let him in. A bunch of other private sector institutions thought the guy was a nutcase, wouldn't let him in, but he somehow qualified as a scientist. He got a federal grant totaling $26,000. He used the money to buy all the stuff that he used in the shooting. Mr. President somehow qualified for some grant, $26,000 in total. I've got the breakdown of it, and I can't find it, but I think I've remembered the bulk of it here. I'll tell you, every time I need to hire somebody in government to tell me how to organize my 300 piece of, doesn't matter. They're all organized when the show starts, and about 10 minutes later, it's a wing and a prayer. Anyway, folks, happy to have you back. Rush Limbaugh, serving humanity simply by being here. Telephone number, you want to be on the program, 800-282-2882. The email address, lrushbaugh@eibnet.com. All right, let's go to the audio sound bites. Let's go to number 7. This is George Stephanopoulos. I mentioned this at the top of the program. This is last Friday morning on Good Morning America.
A reporter has spoken with James Holmes' mother. She spoke briefly with ABC News this morning. I want to read this off my screen right here. He reports that she had awoken unaware of the news of the shooting, had not been contacted by authorities. She immediately expressed concern that her son may have been involved. This is a quote. "You have the right person," she said, speaking on gut instinct. Quote, "I need to call the police. I need to fly out to Colorado."
She had awoken unaware of news of the shooting. They woke her up. They called her at 5 o'clock in the morning at ABC News. They woke her up. And then she convicted him on ABC. So anyway, that's how they report. Of course, this mother is beside herself in every which way imaginable. So she went out and had an attorney representing the family, Lisa Damiani, read a statement from Arlene Holmes, the mother of the shooter.
"I was awakened by a call from a reporter from ABC on July 20, about 5:45 in the morning. I did not know anything about a shooting in Aurora at that time. He asked if I was Arlene Holmes and if my son was James Holmes, who lives in Aurora, Colorado. I answered, yes, you have the right person. I was referring to myself. I asked him to tell me why he was calling, and he told me about a shooting in Aurora. He asked for a comment. I told him I could not comment because I did not know if the person he was talking about was my son, and I would need to find out."
So that's how the family says the call happened, according to the shooter's mother, read by her lawyer. And when she said, "you have the right person," she says she was talking about herself. She was telling a reporter, "yeah, you've got the right person, me," and so forth. So you couple this with Brian Ross. Well, Tea Party, found a linkage. Holmes, Tea Party. Yep, there you go. I've heard a lot of people talking about this, by the way, folks. I've been somewhat amused and amazed as I've listened to people attempt to excuse it, explain it. I've heard people say, well, Brian Ross, he's a great reporter. He's a great investigative reporter. He just, he jumped a gun in there. That's what it is, being an investigative reporter. You want to be first. You wanted to get in. That's not an excuse. If you're an investigative reporter, if that's going to be your moniker or title, you've got, I would think, a standard that would apply to you as an investigative journalist. And that would be to investigate. So what did he do? Did he go to Tea Party websites in Colorado and try to find this guy's name? If he did that, why? What made Brian Ross think Tea Party? As I said yesterday, Can any of you cite for me an example where there has been violence, shooting, murder, rape, mayhem at a Tea Party gathering? Oh, wait, there is one. Yes, it was in St. Louis at one of the children of the widow Carnahan. Where the black conservative got beat up by the SEIU guys. That's right. So the violence at that Tea Party group happened when Obama's union thugs came in and beat up a black conservative. Right. Okay. It's Occupy Wall Street where you hear about rape and violence and pestilence and filth and pigsties. So why would Brian Ross think Tea Party? He's a great reporter. He just made a mistake. Great reporter? It's a hack. For crying out, if you're thinking Tea Party, you are hoping, you are wanting there to be a linkage here. There's no question these people in the media have a bias against the Tea Party. They want to do anything they can to discredit the Tea Party because they don't understand you and they're afraid of you. And they know they don't control you. They know they can't mind control you. They can't bend and shape you to do what they want you to do. You represent a threat to them, so you have to be discredited. Your character has to be impugned, and that's all that was. And now, a similar example with Stephanopoulos calling this mother. He's not a journalist either. He's a political consultant. He's a war room provocateur with James Carville. George Stephanopoulos is a political attack dog working as a journalist, as an anchorman at ABC News. But he's not a journalist. They just call him one. I put him in a journalist chair. And somehow George Stephanopoulos, who did everything he could to get Bill Clinton elected, everything he could to besmirch the reputation of George H.W. Bush, all of a sudden sits down in that chair and immediately forgets every one of his political passions. The minute he sits in the ABC anchor chair, gone is the fact that he's a Democrat. Gone is the fact that he's a liberal. Gone is the fact that he doesn't want Republicans to ever win an election. Because that's who he is. And just sitting in that chair is going to erase all that? I think not. So these people insult our intelligence by trying to tell us that that's what happens. They go out and they can hire a political hack to be an anchor and then tell us magically there is this transformation. And the political hack essentially forgets every passion that he has and becomes an objective reporter. Not a bunch of bohunk. The same thing over at NBC News with doctoring the Trayvon Martin, the 9/11 call from George Zimmerman. Folks, there is a backlash brewing in this country against these guys, against Obama, against the Democrat Party. It's effervescing out there. And if there were a media that was actually interested in finding out what's happening in this country, you'd be reading about it every night and you'd be seeing about it because it's not hidden. Those people are everywhere. Where they call us every day. We talk to them every day. They're all over the place. And they're joining Tea Party groups. And they're working at the grassroots. And the media cared to accurately report than the people of this country would find out. But in a way, it's kind of good because the Obama people now sit and live in a false reality where he's still the Messiah. He's still loved and adored, still considered the smartest guy in the world, and they think that everybody looks at Republicans and Romney as a bunch of idiots and hicks and mean rich people. So that's the lie they tell themselves. It's the lie they live. Obama believes it. That's his news sources. So it may possibly redound to our benefit. Here's Tom Teves. It's Teves. It may be Tevis. I don't know how he pronounces it. He was on Anderson Cooper 360 last night on CNN. And this is, it is Teves, Tom Teves. He's the father of the late Alex Teves, lost his life in the Aurora Theater. And this is what Tom Teves, father of a young man that died, said talking about the gunman on TV.
I would like to see CNN come out with a policy that said, moving forward, we're not going to talk about the gunman. We always say why, and we never know why. Well, we got enough data. Let's start figuring out why. And I'll guarantee one of them is because they want to be on television. They want to be infamous.
Exactly.
We can stop it.
Exactly.
We can't stop it. We can only get shot. CNN, Fox News, the major networks. Why don't you guys all come out with a policy that says, we're not going to show this again. We realize we made a mistake, but just so this never happens again, here's what we're going to do. That would be my challenge to you and to every network.
He's exactly right. I remember on Sunday, people, why, Rush? I think I told you yesterday, people asking me, Rush, why would the guy do this? Knowing he's going to get caught, knowing that he's either going to get put to death or spend the rest of his life in jail. And my first answer was fame. He wants to be famous. Our whole culture. Young people in this country are vomiting everything about themselves trying to be famous. They think it's cool, and cool rules. They think it's cool. They think it's unique. They think it's glamorous. They think it leads to lifestyles of the rich and famous lifestyles. It leads to being on television, great fashion, all the whatever these people associate with the Kardashians and other people who are famous just for being famous. They want it. They want a taste of it. They'll make fools of themselves going on television to become famous. And I remember I gave this answer to a couple of people. Oh, come on. You really? Yes, I mean, I'm dead serious. I think that one of the reasons, and I doubt that we'll ever really know, but one of the reasons this guy did it, because even now he's sitting there in his jail cell, and I will bet you that he is reveling in the fact that everybody's talking about him. And that everybody's commenting on his red hair. And he's probably sitting there just getting his jollies, being talked about. I'm telling you, folks, I am a student of culture. As I've told you, I have lived life by observing it in many cases. And I have a little bit of experience with fame. And I can't divulge too much. I see it every day. I see people who want to be famous every day. It's easy to spot, just like that. I see people who live get their picture in the paper. I'm not kidding. Picture in the paper, talk about it for 3 days. Clip it out, put it on a refrigerator. Show people. I'm not kidding you. And it's amplified and much worse. Young people, you don't paint your hair orange unless you want to get noticed. You don't do this kind of stuff unless you want to get noticed. And what this man, Tom Teves, would say here is the media is feeding this by providing what everybody wants, fame. I remember, I'll give you an example. Back to my days with the Kansas City Royals. Every once in a while, somebody'd get drunk in the stands and run out on the field, either between innings or during a game. And for a while, when that happened, a game happened to be televised, the cameras would show it. And they'd show security chasing the guy down and catching the guy. And this created copycats. It started happening more frequently. The pinnacle in Kansas City, you remember Morgana, the kissing bandit? This was a woman who needed a couple of midgets to walk in front of her to keep her breasts popped up. Morgana, the kissing bandit, stormed out of the stands one day at Royal Stadium and tried to give George Brett a smacker kiss at third base. So and televising this thing begat copycats. So you know what happened? You don't see it next time it happens. Now, if somebody runs on the field at a football game or at a baseball game, the networks do not show it to you. They'll tell you why there's a delay. They'll say somebody ran on the field, and they'll speak disparagingly of the idiot who does it. They'll be very critical, but they will not show it. So they know And network television people, they're very much aware that they can contribute to copycat behavior so they've stopped televising much of that stuff. Not all the time. I mean, there's still examples of it when it gets televised, but for the most part, they stopped it, so they know. This guy has a point. If the networks would stop making these people famous, instead of trying to figure out, like, we're already getting stories. We had one yesterday, but this guy could be a fallen, brilliant, whatever, because he got a scientific grant. That's not who the guy is. The guy is a mass murdering shred of human debris. And if you characterize these people accurately, there wasn't going to be a whole lot of people who want to be like them. So the old guy here, Mr. Teeves, has a point. He says, singing my song. I got another brief time out here, folks. I can't believe how time is zipping by. We'll be back. Don't go away.